Right now at noon, we're recognizing the one-year anniversary of the Sun Prairie explosion. We'll hear from Fire Captain Corey Barr's wife about how she's moving forward from the tragedy. And the lights are coming back on a handful of downtown buildings after a power outage impacted city buildings and traffic lights.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at noon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Kane. Thanks for tuning in to News 3 Now on this Wednesday afternoon. A very warm and humid day out today. Let's head right to the Weather Center. Meteorologist Dave Caulfield has a look at your first alert forecast. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Mark. A cold front is on the way that will help us feel more comfortable by the time we get to tonight, but portions of this afternoon definitely still feeling warm and humid outside. Doppler track not showing any storm activity, so we have some dry air in the upper levels of the atmosphere that's really going to keep our storm chances down for a lot of this afternoon. That being said, can't rule out a stray shower or thunderstorm at times this afternoon, maybe even into the early evening hours, but plenty of sunshine showing up on the WISC-TV Skycam. Temps in the mid to upper 80s across southern Wisconsin. With the humidity, it feels a little bit closer to 90 outside, but we're already starting to see those dew points go down a little bit. So that's at least some good news I have to share. As we head into tonight, temperatures falling through the 70s. Will be cooler as we start tomorrow off in the low 60s. So we'll talk about a pleasant day on the way for Thursday, and then some heat and some humidity and a lot of it on the way for next week in your first alert forecast.
All right, concerts on the square should be okay tonight?
Yes, I think so.
All right, Dave, we'll see you in a few minutes. Today is the one-year anniversary of the deadly explosion in downtown Sun Prairie. Investigators have determined that workers drilled in the wrong spot, hitting a gas line. Buildings were leveled and residents were forced out of their homes. There will be no criminal charges in the case, and authorities still have not determined who's responsible. Fire Captain Corey Barr and firefighter Ryan Welsh were seriously injured in the explosion. In fact, Barr was killed while checking on his family's restaurant, the Barr House, which was located near the heart of the leak. In that moment, his wife Abby's life was forever changed. She told News 3 Now's Keely Arthur, in a lot of ways, it feels like she's living an entirely separate life from the one she had before July 10th. One of the biggest lessons she's learned is that there is no one-size-fits-all when it comes to grief.
I've always been an open communication kind of person. I feel it's important to talk about things. Not everyone feels that way, but it always helps me. And like I said, I've had conversations with Corey from time to time where I'm just sitting here, something's bothering me, and I'll talk it out and feel like he's listening, and I feel better when I'm done.
Abby says she's been so impressed by the Sun Prairie strong community and feels while it's been difficult to be part of a tragedy that's so public, she's gotten a lot of support from people who empathize with what she's going through. Tonight, there's a remembrance ceremony to reflect on what happened last year. It'll start at 6 o'clock at Fire Station Number 1. We'll hear from both the mayor and the fire chief. That'll be followed by a walk to the location of the Barr House at 7 and a prayer and moment of silence for Corey Barr. All community members are invited to attend. And we have continuing coverage on how Sun Prairie has grown stronger following the downtown explosion. We'll have live coverage all day on what's next for downtown, the recovery process for the community and first responders, and how Fire Captain Corey Barr is being remembered. All that's coming up later today. In other news right now, the power is back on downtown after an outage had some city employees working in the dark. The clerk's office says the power was restored to the city-county building just before 10 o'clock this morning. The lights were also off at the Madison Municipal Building, and officers had to help direct traffic as traffic lights were out. According to MG&E's power outage map, all power in the area has been restored. The family of Disney Channel star Cameron Boyce says his death was caused by epilepsy. Boyce died Saturday in his sleep after a seizure. He was 20 years old. Boyce was set to appear in the comedy series Mrs. Fletcher, a new HBO comedy coming out this fall. A Disney spokesperson says not only was Boyce incredibly talented, but was also involved in a number of philanthropic causes. New at noon, Governor Tony Evers says he believes Foxconn will hire 1,500 people by the time production begins at the new Racine County facility. That's slated to open in May. The company needs to hire 1,820 workers by the end of 2020 to qualify for job creation incentive payments. Foxconn failed to meet job targets last year and has downsized the type of display panel factory it plans to build. It is party time for the Women's World Cup soccer champions. The team was honored with a ticker tape parade in New York City, and as Kenneth Craig shows us, thousands of fans turned out.
The world champion U.S. women's soccer team rolled through what's called the Canyon of Heroes, showered with a blizzard of paper and cheers.
They just won the World Cup, so it's kind of important.
Thousands of soccer fans lined the route in Lower Manhattan to celebrate with Team USA.
They've captured a spirit that makes all of us feel like we're champions, so we wanted to be here to support them.
New York City hasn't hosted one of these tinker tape parades in 4 years. The last time they did this was when the U.S. women's team took the World Cup back in 2015.
Alex Bomis missed the last parade, but not this one.
I wanted to come 4 years ago, and I didn't come, and I went to work, and I regretted it, so I'm here today. And I'm proud.
While the focus today is on celebrating, Team USA has had some controversy. Co-captain Megan Rapinoe has said she won't visit the White House if invited, and several members have used their success and platform to fight for equal pay for women on the field and in all workplaces.
What do they mean to you as a...
They're role models.
They're using their voice in the best way. They're inspiring all these young people that you see.
Team USA defeated the Netherlands on Sunday in France to win its 4th Women's World Cup since the competition started in 1991. Today, the women also received keys to the city. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
And Senator Joe Manchin introduced a bill Tuesday that would deny federal funding for the 2026 World Cup until the United States Soccer Federation agrees to provide equal pay for the men's and women's U.S. national teams. There's more to come on News 3 Now at noon. Up next, we'll see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If you like fried chicken that has real crunch and lots of flavor, we have a few tips that guarantee those results. When it comes to making fried chicken, there are a few tricks that can take it from just okay to absolutely amazing. And today, we're sharing those tricks with you so you can enjoy award-winning fried chicken all summer long. The first thing you want to do is make sure your chicken is nice and plump. Then, place it in a large bowl of ice-cold salted water. This will help make the skin extra crispy. After soaking it for about 20 minutes, we dredge it in some seasoned flour before dunking it into a buttermilk bath. Another trick to making sure our coating is super crunchy is to use self-rising flour. That's our secret ingredient. Now the chicken goes back into the flour mixture one more time before it goes into some hot oil. And you want to make sure the oil is about 300 degrees, which is just the right temperature to make sure the chicken cooks through, but it's not too hot that the breading burns. Once the crust is golden and no pink remains, it's time to drain it on a cooling rack rather than paper towels. Does this look good or what? And whether you eat it hot or cold, I know you'll be going back for seconds and even thirds. So to indulge in this classic comfort food, why not go online and get the recipe for our classic fried chicken? I know you won't be disappointed. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a crispy, crunchy way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
All right, Howard, thank you. The heat index today could reach 93 degrees. Very warm and humid with a slight chance of storms. Meteorologist Dave Caulfield has your first alert forecast next. Friday. There is a smaller, cheaper Nintendo Switch coming soon. The Nintendo Switch Lite is handheld only. It doesn't plug into a TV like the original model. It comes in a variety of bright colors and costs $200. The device will be released September 20th. Today on Capitol Hill, tech giants will testify about how much power they have, and soon AT&T customers won't have to deal with robocalls. Diane King Hall has more in today's Money Watch report.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says the Fed will, quote, act as appropriate to sustain the expansion. In prepared testimony before the House Financial Services Committee, the Fed chair cites red flags, including trade tensions and global growth concerns that could weigh on the U.S. Powell said although the economy is strong and the labor market is healthy, gains have been uneven, particularly for minorities. Tech giants head to Capitol Hill next week to testify before Congress about the amount of power they wield online. Top executives from Google, Amazon, Apple, and Facebook will be questioned by the House Antitrust Subcommittee. The companies are accused of having too much dominance over online activity. Spammers, AT&T has your number. The telecom says it will soon automatically block robocalls. The blocking feature will start with newly activated lines and then apply to existing accounts. It will be a default feature that users can turn off. And the Beetle runs out of fumes. Volkswagen is ending production of the newest version of its famed Beetle this week. The first version was designed in Germany in the 30s to expand auto ownership there, the way the Model T had in the U.S. The move comes as Volkswagen recovers from its emissions cheating scandal. And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, head to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Diane King Hall.
Diane, thank you. Let's check Wall Street at the noon hour. The Dow Industrials up 94 points. The NASDAQ gaining 56. The S&P 500 also gaining about 14.5. Let's check in now with Q106 Farm Director Pam Yankee on this summer afternoon.
Yeah, summer afternoon. I guess we won't put the lid down on the Beetle anymore, though, for the future. Wow.
No, that's it. That's it.
Kind of surprising. Wow. Anyhow, well, today you won't put the windows down or anything down with this kind of humidity. It's like a terrarium out there, at least as far as I'm concerned. Perfect county fair weather. And don't forget, we've got the Lodi Fair, the Jefferson Fair, Sauk County Fair, Lafayette County Fair, all ongoing, already starting today. Markets are a little jittery today. They're all focused in on what's going to happen with the 2 days worth of Federal Reserve testimony that's going to be going on at Capitol Hill. A lot of second guessing on whether or not we'll see interest rates decline about a quarter of a point, what everybody is saying. Agriculture is caught up in that as well. Continuing to monitor crop development across the United States. Right here in Wisconsin, believe it or not, southwest Wisconsin, I was just talking with Dr. Damon Smith, our University Extension plant pathologist. He said our crops look pretty good in Wisconsin compared to places across northern Indiana, northern Ohio, and a good chunk of Illinois. So take that to heart, even though our crop is developing very erratically just because of the crazy planting weather we had this spring. Dairy markets in Chicago, barrel cheese up 3/4 cents today at 176 3/4. 40-pound block cheese down a penny at 183. The AA butter, that's up a penny and a quarter today, 240 3/4 a pound. I just want to remind our dairy farmers, next week I'm going to be out and about up in St. Paul. The Dairy Experience Forum is going to be happening up in St. Paul. It's a event that's now in its second year, hosted by Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin and the Midwest Dairy Association out of Minnesota. Basically what they do is bring farmers, dairy processors together in one spot to take a look at product development that farmers are aware of, and then give them a chance to listen, Mark, to those young peoples, those Gen Xers, Gen Zers, those next phase of consumers, and what they think about dairy, what they think they know about dairy products, what they want to tell dairy farmers. So it could be very interesting exchange next week in St. Paul. One of the positive points that I can see, it's indoors, and I'll bet it'll be air conditioning. And man, that's better than my gig coming up Saturday at Baraboo for the youth livestock auction. So tell Long Tall in New York if he can find a breeze by Saturday afternoon, it would be nice.
And you got the Dane County Fair next week.
Yes.
Gonna be a little toasty, I think.
Yeah.
All right, Long Tall, what do you got for us over in the Weather Center?
Well, hopefully I'll try not to talk too much on Saturday, or maybe I'll talk more than normal to get that breeze to Pam. Maybe it will be more hot air than anything else. So I'll definitely have to watch that situation unfold. We're watching Doppler track right now. Not really anything popping up across southern Wisconsin. We have a cluster of thunderstorms well to the north and west across portions of Ontario, and well to the south and west across portions of Kansas and Missouri. But we're pretty quiet, even though a cold front is on the way. We have plenty of ingredients in place, but we have dry air in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So storms really don't like that. Once they start to kind of go up into the sky and start to form, they hit that dry air and they're like, no thanks. And so we don't really have good chances of thunderstorms forming this afternoon. That being said, a stray shower storm not out of the question, especially when this much humidity is present. Platteville and our Queen Bee Radio Skycam, just a few cumulus clouds. That's about it. I was saying to myself, are they really cumulus clouds? They really don't look like much, and so we're really not seeing too many clouds in the sky in Madison, either on the WISC-TV Skycam. Temperatures, though, have moved into the mid-80s in Madison, upper 80s in Janesville, 84 in Waukesha, 85 in Monroe, and 84 in Mineral Point and Platteville. Dew points have actually gone down over the last couple of hours. We were well into the 70s, which is pretty oppressive in Madison, but we've actually seen those dew points drop about 5 to 7 degrees over the last 2 hours alone. Still a little bit humid typically, which is what we see typically across southwestern Wisconsin. So it does feel like 90 in Mineral Point and Platteville, feeling like 88 in Madison, feeling like 91 in Janesville. And that's not great overall, but it could be worse if we had those dew points in the 70s. So I think we're actually going to stay probably dry for the next 48 hours. The best chance of maybe seeing a stray storm is later this afternoon, maybe even into the early evening hours, but really I think most of us are going to stay dry. However, we are not going to stay cool for very long. Cold front comes through, knocks us down into the low 80s tomorrow, and we'll feel pleasant on Thursday, but don't get used to those pleasant conditions because boy, oh boy, those 90s return and that humidity returns in a big way. We are very, very confident about big heat and big humidity building in, not just for the next 7 to 10 days, but really over the next couple of weeks or so. Really that bullseye across southern Wisconsin. So we have alert days in the forecast from Sunday through Friday. Hot and humid conditions, highs in the low 90s, heat index values in the mid 90s to the mid triple digits possible at times. So we need to be ready for that. On future track, though, really not looking at too much in the way of thunderstorm activity, just some clouds moving in later on this afternoon. We should be pretty dry as we head into tomorrow and not really seeing too much in the way of cloud cover throughout the day on Thursday with highs near 80. So we'll feel better on Thursday. And then Friday, we start to see a little bit of that heat build back in with highs in the mid 80s. Don't look at this part of the 10-day forecast. I'm going to try and cover it up if I can. We do have those alert days in the forecast from Sunday, basically for the rest of the 10-day forecast for that heat and humidity, but we will still feel a little bit more comfortable for tomorrow with highs near 80. So we'll focus on the one positive, I think, in that 10-day forecast. There's some small chances for thunderstorms Friday night into early on Saturday.
Was there a sale on those alert day banners? Buy one, get one free?
Buy one, get about 7 free at this point, yeah.
Okay, we'll enjoy tomorrow.
Yes.
All right, Dave, thank you. Next at noon, the last living Mount Rushmore carver is celebrating a big milestone. How community members in South Dakota are recognizing his legacy. That's next. Of the nearly 400 people who carved Mount Rushmore, only one is still living today. It took workers 14 years, from 1927 to 1941, to complete the national monument, a labor that Nick Clifford is still proud of at 98 years of age. Travis Cummings has more.
A celebration in Keystone for a living legend. Known for his hands and work on one of the world's most notable landmarks, Nick Clifford's the last carver of Mount Rushmore still standing.
Oh, Nick, you're too much. They're all gone now, and the last one. So I just, I'm happy that my health is good, and I am planning on living quite a while yet.
Friends and family from all over came to celebrate Clifford's 98th birthday and his gift to the world.
And I have been in love with Mount Rushmore since I came here when I was 6. So the idea that I got to meet someone who created this mountain to me was just like I met a rock star.
With the help of his wife Carolyn of 45 years, Nick's still putting a dent in history.
He's been a wonderful man. He's very kind and generous and somewhat shy. You wouldn't know that since he's in the public, but he enjoys what he's doing a lot.
He and Carolyn are still involved with the National Memorial today, providing answers to the many questions people have about the legendary mountain.
Somebody else was going to write a book about Nick, and I just decided since I had the questions and Nick wrote out the answer, we just publish our own. So we self-published the book, and that's what we sign up at Mount Rushmore.
So his hands, his voice, and his heart are still moving this mountain.
It feels really good that all those people come and I get to talk to them and tell them the story about Mount Rushmore.
That is pretty cool. All right, Dave, one final check of the forecast.
Yeah, very warm and humid conditions lasting throughout the afternoon. It already feels like the upper 80s and low 90s across much of southern Wisconsin. A cold front will come through later on today. It may spark a stray shower or two this afternoon and evening, but I really think most of us will stay dry. We will be more comfortable, though, as we get into Thursday with temperatures starting out in the 60s. Highs will be near 80 with less humidity, but that heat and humidity comes back in a big way starting next week.
All right, that's our time for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here at 4. Have a great afternoon.